Hi, I'm Robin Walker with VSP Walker. Welcome to another VSP video blog. Last week we started the discussion around reducing complexity to increase profit. Specifically what we talked about was 3 companies to introduce the concept: Southwest Airlines, Dell Computers, and Aldi's grocery stores. We talked about how those companies reduced complexity, focused on simplicity to really drive profitability. I want to talk now about what are some of the things that you can focus on to reduce complexity. So at the beginning, if we look at complexity, how do we go from complexity all the way down to simplicity? Let's start at the top. Number 1 is definitely what we've talked about in the past, is aligning the organizational elements. If you remember back in the video blog when we talked about that, we went on a hiking expedition and it was pretty chaotic and all the elements were not aligned. Now, what are those elements? Again, just to refresh your memory, they are the desired results we're trying to get, the strategy in which how we're going to get there, the leadership that inspires and coaches us and mentors us along the way, the culture, the beliefs and the understanding, the experiences that people have and why they do what they do, the processes that we use, step-by-step processes, the systems that support us and make our life simpler, hopefully, and the metrics that tell us how we're doing and drive behavior. So those are the 7 elements that we're trying to align. If you think about the alignment, and by the way, I've recently written a white paper discussing this. If you don't have a copy, please let me know. I'll get you a copy, because it goes into not just that hiking expedition, but what it looks like on the flip side when you are aligned. And if you just conceptually think about when everything is aligned, a lot of that complexity will automatically go away. So the first step that I like to work with manufacturers is to help you understand how you can align those 7 elements. That is absolutely key to reaching your profit potential. Number 2, along that line, but sometimes we need to take a deeper dive into it, is the whole concept of systems and processes aligning. Now, there's a lot of things out there that we do already, and you may do in your organization, that really works on processes. We might have Kaizen events where we're looking at processes as it relates to manufacturing, or maybe even office processes where we're figuring out how to reduce the non-value added waste in the system, how to remove that. That's what Lean focuses on very, very well. But also we need to consider the systems as it relates to that. If you think, for example, if I'm taking a regular process in which I'm going quote to cash, let's say your process looks something like this and you get down to cash. And here's the system that you're using, or the map that's guiding you along the way. Do you have points on your map or points in your system where you veer off and you use an Excel spreadsheet, or you veer off and you use this other SQL or Access database that you've developed? You veer off here to use Excel? I see this all the time, where people find that the path of least resistance is to set up a spreadsheet or a separate database, not to build it into their ERP system. It may be the path of least resistance, but is not aligning your company. It is not allowing your system to support your processes. I am not by any means saying don't ever use Excel, but when you use it to drive a definite product or process flow, it is not necessarily the right thing, because it's not sustainable. 1, it's not systemic. 2, it's very siloed. It's not an aligned process. So we need to really look at systems and processes and how those support each other. That is usually a very, very tricky place to get really good alignment. The next thing is really understanding, and the whole concept that we're going to introduce about profit velocity. Really understanding the value that your customers are willing to pay for. That is going to be very key. So first thing, if we made a point A, if you will, value that customers will pay for. Do you understand the value that they're willing to pay for? Very key to that. What really is your strategic processes that make you strategically different than your competitors, that your customers are willing to pay for? And are those complexity in those complexities that the customer pays for? That's fine. But the things that the customer doesn't value, the things behind the scenes that drive that engine of your company, we don't need complexity in those areas. So the other thing is understanding the return you get on time. And that's really the whole concept. When I'm talking about profit velocity, I'm talking about a return on time. And we're going to go into that in a lot more detail in the next video blog. We're going to talk about financial things that you measure, that you're very, very aware of, but also non-financial factors that define profit velocity. Because at the end of the day, what do you want to do? I'm pretty sure that you want velocity, you want things to happen faster, you want simplicity. You don't want to make your business harder than it needs to be. And I'm definitely sure you want profitability. You want to make more money. Thanks for joining me this week, and thank you. Specifically, that's a very hard word to say, specifically, we talked about 3 different companies: Southwest, Dell, and Aldi's. So I hope cut. Can we start over, please? Thank you.
Yeah, well.